guys, welcome back. Thanks for joining me for another video. So we had a crazy weekend, an interesting weekend. The weather, let's just say that you may not want to go camping in 40 miles per hour plus winds and rain. We got there in the evening and it just started. It came out of nowhere. At one point we sat in the car and we were just like, should we just go home? Should we go home? But no, we persevered. The tent was a little bit wet initially, but those of you that are regular campers, you know it doesn't take long for the sun to come out and your tent to dry out. But we took our kayak. For those of you that this is the first time you're watching, this is our new adventure. I am obsessed. This time we started off at Pulborough because there is a free access point and it's the River Arder. In a couple of weeks, we are going to work our way up from paddling all the way from Pulborough to Arundel, and I will be filming lots of footage for that. But to be this side of the river, it's amazing. You're paddling past anything from dragonflies to damselflies, which are just beautiful. But you see heron, you see ducks, you see so many swans on the river, and it's magical. It's so peaceful. It's so quiet. It's just my husband and I. At one point, we pulled over for a cheeky beer because our kayak has got like a little storage area where you can pack food and drinks, which is good for the longer journeys. But we pulled over and it was like being in a little mangrove on a David Attenborough documentary. It was just truly magical. So I will be doing lots more of this. Now, what I've decided to do is I've got an Instagram account that I don't really use that much, but I'm going to start using it for posting things that I do at weekends with the dogs, with kayaking, with camping, because I know not everyone, when they come here for a royal channel, they want to hear me talk about what I've been up to at the weekend. But for those of you that just want to maybe see what I'm up to on a more regular basis, this could be a good way for you to just have a nose, really. I don't spend time answering DMs across a lot of social media. The only people I talk to are you guys here when I post videos. So remember, after the end of every video, unless the video is posted at midnight, because then I'll be nights, I will spend a good hour trying to talk to as many of you as possible. So on that note, I'm going to get on with the royal stuff. And what a weekend. We had on the 17th of July, Queen Camilla's birthday. Camilla turned 76 and this is her first birthday as the Queen Consort. She had a 41 gun salute at noon by the King's Troop Royal Horse Artillery, and at 1 p.m. at Tower Wharf there was a 62 gun salute done by the Honourable Artillery Company. The Irish Guards played Happy Birthday at changing of the guards at Buckingham Palace, so for anyone that saw that, I bet that was kind of fun. Further salutes were carried out all over the country at Cardiff, London, York, Edinburgh, just to name a few, and lots of churches and cathedrals rang the bells, including Westminster Abbey. Now, whilst all these lovely gun salutes were going off, there was someone else that was celebrating something, and that was her third wedding anniversary with her husband, Edo. Yes, Princess Beatrice and Edo have been married now for 3 years. Who can forget their beautiful, really, really low-key wedding that they had due to the COVID restrictions? I loved it because of the personal side to it. I loved the low-key bit. I loved all of the beautiful flowers, but I love the fact that Princess Beatrice got to have the photographs with her grandfather, Prince Philip, and the Queen. This was one of the last portraits we saw of them both in decent health. Obviously, Prince Philip was becoming very tired at this point, and I think it's truly magical for Beatrice to always have these memories. Plus, on top of this, we had Princess Beatrice's dress and tiara. Her dress was super special because it was a vintage one on loan to her by the Queen, as well as the tiara. The tiara was the Queen Mary fringe tiara, and Princess Elizabeth married Prince Philip wearing the exact same one on her wedding day. The dress was designed by Norman Hartnell. He was the in designer at the time, and he also designed the Queen's wedding dress and her coronation gown. The fact that Princess Beatrice was allowed to wear, or chose to wear, a vintage dress formerly worn by the Queen, and then the Queen's wedding tiara, showed the closeness between the granddaughter and her grandmother, and I just think it just made it that little bit more special and definitely romantic. But they are just such a cute couple. They now have a little girl, Sienna, between them. And Beatrice is also stepmother to Edo's son with his ex-partner, Dara, a little boy called Wolfie, who we have seen at royal events where the entire family have embraced him as one of their own, as you should, which is normal. But despite what people have bitched about in the past with Meghan, oh, the royal family, just rules and protocols, they actually did change and modernise certain things to allow Meghan to join the family and be welcomed into a family a lot lot quicker than what even Catherine, the Princess of Wales, was. So that is, well, let's not just talk about them yet because I've got lots more royal stuff. We leave them towards the end, you know, the punchline to every video. So let's get on to, and the reason why the weather was so terrible when I was camping, Wimbledon. We had the men's final and we saw Carlos Alcaraz win his second Grand Slam tournament. This is 2 now that he's won, all before he's even turned 21. And in doing so, he has, of course, dethroned Novak Djokovic, who's actually won Wimbledon 7 times. Carlos is the youngest number 1 in history, and he was just 5 years old when Djokovic lost his last 5-set match at the club. Now, Princess Charlotte, I have to say, she looked like Catherine's mini-me. She is so completely involved into the tennis. She had some really sweet, affectionate and adorable moments with her mum. Really, really gorgeous photographs. She's so cool. And I don't mean cool temperature-wise, I mean laid back. She is going to be the future Princess Royal. And people are beginning to pick up. It's her laid back attitude, where she is very much like Princess Anne. I think we are going to have another no-nonsense princess. She looked absolutely adorable, thick as thieves with her brother George. I'm sorry, no one can tell me that these two are going to have the sibling rivalry and stuff. These two look like that they are already partners in crime. Now, as for Charlotte becoming very expressive like her parents watching sport, she lost her mind, as you can see when Carlos won. It was an incredibly exciting match for those of you that were watching it. I read about it because I don't sit there and watch tennis, but I mean, it's incredible the achievements that Carlos has done. Now, the Wimbledon final always turns into a star-studded event. We saw photographs of Prince George and Princess Charlotte meeting James Bond star Daniel Craig, and who can forget Daniel Craig with his beloved great-grandmother, where they did that sketch, which I will always remember. That's up there with Paddington Bear. Absolutely beautiful memory to remember that Queen Elizabeth, while some people say could be very stoic, she could also laugh at herself. Also in the crowds, we saw Emma Watson, we saw Idris Elba, we saw Hugh Jackman and his wife Deborah. And let's be honest, in this photograph, it was perfectly timed to capture Catherine looking like she was completely enthralled with James Norton. I mean, who wouldn't be? And Prince William's like, hello, hello, remember me, your husband, woo! Now, King Philippe was also there. He was over from Spain, obviously, because Carlos, and as for a good reason too, he won and he was there to congratulate him. There were some lovely photographs of King Philippe meeting Prince George and Princess Charlotte. I've got a sneaky feeling that they've obviously met at family engagements and events before. But there was one person in the crowd that got my attention more than anyone, and I have to say, ding dong, Mr. Brad Pitt. That man is aging like a fine wine. He looks absolutely gorgeous. There was a photograph of Catherine where she was waving at someone in the crowd, and it makes you wonder if that would have been me, that would have been me spotting Brad Pitt going, oh, mwah, mwah. Oh, come on, to be fair, I don't think even my husband can blame me. That is one good-looking man, and I wasn't the only one to think so, because one of the funniest comments I saw was this: not to objectify, but I'd trip him up and be underneath him before he hit the floor. Well, who can blame her, really? Now, Catherine has looked really glamorous and really radiant with all of her different green outfits that she has worn over the course of 3 days of Wimbledon. I think she's slightly darkened her hair, but she looks absolutely beautiful. The children were dressed impeccably. I love Princess Charlotte's dress, and as I said, she looks so cool wearing those sunglasses as well. Prince George looked incredibly handsome, and I love the fact that he's dressed really dapper like his father. There are a few fuddy-duddy people going, oh, he's coming up to 10, he shouldn't be in a suit. Well, why not? You dress up boys in suits when they go to weddings and christenings. There's absolutely nothing wrong with children looking smart and respectable at big events, and this was in the royal box. Now, it wasn't the only family outing we had. We had all 3 Wales children at the Royal Air Show, the RAF Royal International Air Tattoo. This took place last week, and the family all together were taking tours of jets, helicopters and all sorts of historical aircrafts. Me personally, I love an air show, but obviously, given the wind and the rain, it's not so fun to be going to an air show. And a lot of the acrobatics and the stunts, they would have been grounded, really. It was completely bucketing it down, as we say in the UK. It was really wet and windy, and it is the worst type of weather. Like I said, I was camping in it. It was absolutely chucking it down, and Prince Louis seemed to be having a great time climbing on staff, chatting away to the soldiers. He didn't even care that his parents were off talking to someone else. But at one point, which was cute, he was coming out of an air carrier and he was trying to skid down it in his shoes. And to be fair, I think I would have been exactly the same at that age. It's just everything around you looks like one big toy at those big air shows. I have to say as well, looking at all these photographs of Prince George, hasn't he grown so much, shaking the hand of all of the servicemen? When you look back at these photographs when he was so little and he had his little ear defenders on, I know children grow, but it's just, that to me only seems like it was a couple of years ago, and it's absolutely amazing. And now Louis bigger than what Prince George was at the time. Now, there was some stirring going on social media. I know, the shock of it, who'd have thought it? And that was because some people said the children looked unhappy. And I'd like to point out, it was windy, it was rainy, it is the worst combination of weather. Plus it's warm, so you're wearing summery clothes. So you get absolutely soaked because you've got so much more skin exposed rather than wearing hats and jackets. I personally think the kids look fine, but there was someone that felt that they needed to get their comments out on social media. I mean, there's nothing wrong with this, that's what social media is there for. But I think that they were stirring the pot on behalf of Harry and Meghan. Now, Miss Anne Harriman is the photographer and the man in question. In his post that he put on Instagram, he basically said that he wants the media to stop filming the babies all the time. It doesn't feel right. They are so small. Does advertising revenue mean more than protecting these kids? Well, doesn't that sound like something that would come straight out of Harry and Meghan's mouth, doesn't it? He is using the Wales children to make his point, saying that they're babies, they need protecting. Or is that because no one sees Harry and Meghan's children? And there's been a lot of that recently where people are beginning to query and question it because the children are getting older. They are not being seen anywhere with their parents, even at events when you would expect them to be. Now, it's something which I call a little bit of hypocrisy here, and that is just like Harry and Meghan. He ends his post by saying, we need to do better. And I'm thinking to myself, well, yes, you need to do better. What you've done, bearing in mind that he's a supporter of Harry and Meghan, which means the Sussex squad are massive supporters of Miss Anne Harriman, that in itself created a pile-on. So much so, I've read that he deleted it. Probably, and I dread to think, the vile comments that the Sussex squad posted underneath. And I find that very hard to believe that Miss Anne didn't know that that would actually happen by him making a comment like that. You'd think if he was going to be concerned about anyone's kids, that might be his friends' bunker children that don't actually see the light of day, with the exception of obviously July 4th, when Lily was magically pictured. Harry was reportedly getting ready to sue over those photographs because her face wasn't pixelated. But 1, you were out in public. 2, a member of the public could have taken those photos and sold them. 3, for a fair-skinned, red-headed little girl, why didn't she have a hat on that you could have pulled down to disguise her face? 4, you being the father, staring at the photographer, and several of those shots, put your hand across your daughter's face, turn her body away, shield her with your body, get your friend in the big blue shirt, because let's not be funny, he was a big guy, get him to stand between you and the paparazzi. But that makes me think that the paparazzi were meant to get clear shots to sell to the newspapers. But as for Miss Anne's post, it does read exactly like it is out of Harry and Meghan's playbook. They've said that they're not going to attack the royal family anymore. Well, it doesn't mean that they can't get their friends to do it publicly. He's quite clearly implying that Catherine and William are serving up their children for revenue on a platter. And I think to myself, and it really is the pot calling the kettle black, considering what his friends are up to with selling every minute detail of their life for multi-million £1 million, including deeply personal photographs that shouldn't really have seen the light of day outside family album books for Netflix. Now, as for Catherine and William, they are incredibly protective parents of their children. William wants to undo the things that I guess that any parent does when they have children. They remember the things that upset them and hurt them and maybe made them feel uncomfortable. So then in turn, you then try not to do the very same sort of trauma or damage to your children. But as parenting goes, as most of my friends tell me, you make your own set of mistakes as you go. There is no handbook for this, but for anyone to think that William and Catherine are not bringing up those children completely loved and safe and protected, then you've got to be delusional. Those children are growing up with their cousins, with their aunties, with their great aunties and uncles, their second cousins, their third cousins. They are growing up as one big family unit. As I said earlier, Princess Beatrice, her stepson, he's even in and part of the family fold. Those children are growing up with a nice, big, loving family all around them. And sadly, the same can't be said for Archie and Lily. Personally, I'm really unsure as to why there is a sudden interest on how the Wales children are being brought up, especially by interest from someone that is openly Harry and Meghan's supporter. As I said, if Miss Anne wants to check on the concerns and the welfare of other children, maybe he might want to check on the children that are never seen, even when their mum goes to somewhere like, well, latest, a farmer's market. Why would you not take your children to a farmer's market? There's so many treats and little things that they can try. It was all rather bizarre. Meghan naturally was papped by a freelance photographer, an individual freelance photographer who used to work for US Weekly and Star magazine called Jill Ishkanian. And she just happened to be there on Friday to capture the perfect moment when Meghan was buying some flowers and some honey. Now, these photographs, these are bringing all sorts of questions to my brain. One here, she looks actually quite grumpy talking to this guy. And I wonder, is she going, you expect me to pay for this? Don't you know that I'm the Duchess of Montecito? How about if you give me this stuff for free, I'll advertise the farmer's market. You can say that it's royally approved. Because let's be honest, Meghan has been trying this ever since she got the ring on her finger. The other reason why Meghan could be looking a little bit not so friendly, not so smiley, bearing in mind that Meghan does have a mega Hollywood grin when she wants to put it on, is because the guy was getting in the way of her photographer and she's saying to him, can you just move over a bit out the way? I need to make this look natural. Thanks. I mean, this is obviously me just playing and speculating, but the main thing that I've noticed from these photographs, no Harry, no children, one dog. Maybe Harry got that dog in the custody arrangement. I'm sorry, I am beginning to think these two are well and truly already separated and they're just waiting for the perfect moment to release the news or they're hashing it out. I don't think these two are together anymore. There is just something that is definitely not right. I was right about Meghan marrying Harry and then taking him away from his family. I was right about Megxit. So I just think this is my gut feeling telling me these two are already over and they are just biding their time, possibly for the most dramatic moment to announce it to the world. So I just imagine that they're biding their time to find out the best way that they can do it to cause maximum disruption to the royal family and get maximum coverage. You know, they're both going to have to earn some money out of this because it looks like everything is drying up for them. Which brings me to the fact that Meghan has no security around her. Where's their big team of burly security guards? Well, one, they would get in the way, wouldn't they? I mean, how can a photographer take photographs of Meghan at the farmer's market looking all casual if she's got 10 great big beefcakes around her? Okay, so this means they managed to capture her looking like a normal, casual Montecito mummy just stopping in to grab some honey on her way back home. It's all rather bizarre, isn't it? This is not the Meghan that we've seen. This is not the Meghan we've come to know. This is not the Meghan with the SUVs, the big security, the demands for everything. Meghan has come full circle. This is like old Meghan. This is Meghan before she met Harry. Well, when she was just getting ready to meet Harry. This is Meghan that was perhaps just going to farmers markets, to supermarkets, just buying bunches of flowers. This is Meghan Tig, influencer phase. Where are all the burly security guards? What about their desperate need for their safety that they near enough got killed by paparazzi in New York? It's all taken one big massive shift. Now, this does time with her new management agency, but also all of the news that Harry and Meghan are separating. She needs to get rid of Harry if she's going to make any other deals. She needs to be completely separate from her husband if she's going to have any marketability because Harry has ruined them. Harry's dragged them down. Meghan shouldn't have allowed Harry to write the book. This is all the stuff we're being drip fed. With Harry not being there, she doesn't need the security. She doesn't need the drama. It's setting the stage, I think, for blaming Harry for all of the drama that surrounds them. Because when Harry's not with her, look, it's old Meghan, it's happy Meghan, it's casual, down-to-earth, flip-flop, white shirt Meghan. The only thing that's missing is that darn bloody hat. And for those of you that follow any of the channels or have read anything to do with narcissism, this is known as the discard phase. And I honestly think these two are already separated. But the fact that all of these negative stories are coming out where Harry is slowly being blamed more and more for Meghan's unhappiness. And now look at Meghan. Now, I personally think that Meghan sets up every pap stroll to kind of sell a little story. It's to set the stage, like I've said before. But I think this one might backfire on her because she's obviously trying to show that she's casual, she's down to earth, she's not a diva. She can go out without all of the security. When she later wants to make demands that she is being chased and hounded by the paparazzi, nobody even knew who she was. So much so that even the newspapers that bought one of the photographs said that this guy in black was Meghan's security. He was just going about his business. Do you know how I know that he's not their security? Because his employer tweeted about it. Zach Baggins, who admittedly I didn't know who he was, but he tweeted that the man was in fact his personal assistant, Bacon. Now, I'm not sure whether to laugh more that he has no clue who she is, or that he's probably thinking, why the hell is that paparazzi taking my photograph? Meghan can walk around anywhere and people wouldn't recognise her, I'll be honest. Meghan and Harry, if they'd have just gone to Montecito and behaved like this and behaved like normal people, they possibly wouldn't have had as much drama. But then they wouldn't have had as much footage for Netflix and all of the other dramatic things that they've had to talk about. The paparazzi hounding them. Meghan's more famous now than what she ever was before, or infamous. And people still don't care, and she still has to arrange her own photographer to follow her to exciting places such as farmers markets. That it would have been nice for Meghan to have spent time with her children at a nice, calm, peaceful market. Lots of people take their kids to these things, but again, it was only Guy that was chosen that day to see the light of day. Perhaps Poola, Harry, Archie and Lily are in the bunker, confined together. Maybe only one is allowed out on rotation at any given time. The fact that Meghan clearly prefers the company of her dog says everything, but also there are clearly rules at the Montecito Farmers Market that dogs are not allowed. Big, huge signs. But hey, we know Meghan doesn't follow rules or protocols. I honestly nearly called the video no dogs allowed, and then I had the picture ready, you know, like I make my little profile and there was Meghan no dogs allowed, but then I thought to myself that could get really taken the wrong way, so I thought better of it. So on that note, guys, I will be back with you very soon where we will be talking about the other royals. Sophie and Edward have been out and about, so I will be covering lots of stuff to do with them. So I will see you very soon, and I'll see you in the comments. Take care for now. Bye.